Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Andrea. Thank you so much for being here today. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I hear a lot from creators about finding a niche, and it is about finding a name for your brand. And we're gonna talk about what I suggest and what you should be doing to be successful on social media regarding niche, regarding finding a name. So this question actually came in from one of my followers, one of my husband's followers. This is from Jerome. He allowed me to share this on my video today, and I wanted to address this because it's something that a lot of us go through. Basically, Jerome wrote this question in, and I asked him if he would be willing to let me share this. If you're watching this and you've experienced feeling unsure about your niche or not knowing where to start when it comes to having a niche or your brand name, comment down below. Let me know how you've overcome it, because maybe there's some things that you guys can share as well, ways that you've overcome it, or if it's something you're struggling with, comment below, and hopefully we can support each other in the comments as well. I'm going to read Jerome's message to me, or parts of it, so you guys can get the general idea of what his concern was. He reached out to me and he said that he has heard a lot that you need to have a niche and a commercial name or brand. He sent me a bunch of his work, which was beautiful, and a lot of it was like different subjects and different ways of creating. So some of his work that he's been doing is like mural paintings, some of it is landscape, some of it is portrait, some of it is like animal painting. He says that many of them are commissions which don't really fit his image or brand. He wants to be able to try different things, but at the same time, he hears people saying you need a niche and to be able to stick with it. He's worried about the name and finding a name that fits him. I want to start off by saying that personally, I think that you are putting too much pressure and importance on having a niche and thinking about your name. So I think that this is a common problem around creators, people who want to start creating content and putting themselves out on social media platforms. And I think that this happens a lot because you start looking into things, you start looking into how to be successful on social media, you start looking at what other people are doing. And I think if you spend too much time like over analyzing and looking at what people are doing, it can almost cause like a paralysis, and it makes you not want to do anything because you feel like you can't measure up to that level. When what I found is that, at least with Felix, if you scroll back down his page for a long time, you will see like how many times like his niche has changed, like the subjects that he's painting, or the colors he's using, the way he's creating. Even in the beginning, like his videos and the way that he would put himself out there, the objects he would paint on. So he's done so many different things over the years, like with his art. But what I would say is that he does have an overlapping niche, I guess you would call it, which is that he paints in a certain style. Like he typically uses his fluffy brush, that's like his thing. And he uses acrylic paints, and he's an artist. I would say those are like the three things that at the end of the day, that's his niche. And honestly, as time goes on, we're seeing that niches don't really matter as much. Like, yes, it is important to use keywords specific to whatever you're talking about or whatever you're doing. Like if you are cooking, you don't want to have one post be of you cooking and then another post of you running a marathon, and then another picture of your kids and another picture of you cooking. If the main thing you want to be talking about is cooking, I would focus on cooking. But then within that, you find your voice, you know? I think it's important that, and I think, I'm not saying you can't ever share things about your kids or things that you enjoy other than cooking, but in the beginning, you really want to stick with that main subject because it helps these platforms categorize what it is you're talking about. There's tons of people like who are vloggers who talk about their life on a daily basis. But if that's not what you want to be known for, and if you're mixing things, it just makes it a little bit harder. Not saying it's impossible. Once you develop your brand or your name, it becomes easier for people to care about other parts of your life as well. But I would definitely start by focusing on what it is you want to be known for. And again, when I say that, I'm not saying you have to like only create in this certain way, but if you're gonna focus on art and be an art page, then just mainly focus on art. And that could look like a lot of different things. And I think as I said, as time goes on, these platforms, people are looking for connection, and they're looking for authentic voices, because back in the past, like when Felix and I started Instagram, like probably 6-7 years ago, it was a lot more like curated, and people only wanted perfect, and they wanted things to look a certain way and be a certain way. But now with like the introduction of TikTok and these different platforms, and the fact that you have to like create so much content, it almost causes people to be less curated, less perfect. And it's also very much a relief, because it lets you be more free within your niche. And I actually suggest, like, to a lot of people, especially artists, like if there's more than one thing you want to try that and take people on the journey with you. I think nowadays it's so much more about the journey than it is about the destination. And that's what I was saying before with like the curated content versus like the authentic voice. People are turning away from this curated look because people are sick of perfect. They want to see like what your journey actually is. So if you still haven't found your artistic voice, or you still haven't found what it is exactly that you want to talk about on social media, that's totally fine. You just have to be bold enough to share that, and be open about the fact that, hey, I don't know exactly what I want to share on my page yet, but I have an idea of what I enjoy, and I'm going to share the process with you guys. And to me, that is going to be way more authentic, way more true to you, and you're probably going to get a lot more audience faster when people see how open you're being, because a lot of people, whether you know it or not, are going through the same exact struggle that you are, and they're looking for someone like you to show them, hey, it's okay to not know exactly what your niche is right from the beginning. And it takes some time to find these things. Majority of the artists you're looking at, or other creators you're looking at who seem to have it all figured out, they spent a lot of time learning these things just by putting themselves out there. And so today I want to encourage you guys to put yourself out there. I'm even doing this for myself. Right now, I'm actually doing a 30-day challenge with my community from my Freedom to Create course. It's available through the link in my masterclass down below. We are doing a 30-day social media challenge, and I have them all pick goals for posting on social media. For me, my goal is to be more consistent on YouTube, but what a specific goal looks like is I am going to post at least one YouTube video a week for the next 30 days. So you guys will see a lot more of me on here. And why that is, because the more you show up, the more you're gonna find your voice, the more you're going to be able to find your niche and what people enjoy hearing from you, and also what you enjoy putting out to the world. Because I think the worst part about social media is that we start to compare with people that we look up to and admire, which is not necessarily like, it's not a bad thing to be inspired by people, but if you start looking at them and then comparing yourself to them, that's where it causes this tension, and it makes you feel worse about yourself, when in reality you have a lot to share with the world. And if you would just turn off, like when you feel yourself comparing to someone else, that's like your sign to like turn off your social media and say, okay, what can I create today? Instead of comparing with this person, I'm going to create one video, whether it's a short video, whether it's a YouTube video, whatever it is, that is your sign to turn off social media and start creating something, because the way that we find our niche and our voice is by creating. But if you're spending all your time comparing and seeing what other people are doing and how you don't measure up, that just perpetuates this cycle of negativity, and also perpetuates a cycle of you not being good enough, when I truly believe that each one of you who's watching this has a gift and a talent that has been given from God that no one else can even imitate. And that's the beautiful thing. And I think that sometimes we forget that with social media. And so I want to encourage you guys that you have something special within you to share, and don't let comparison steal you of that joy and that talent that you have. And so I encourage you to put yourself out there. It can be scary, it can be intimidating, but I promise you, if you bring people along on the journey, it's gonna be so much more fun and much more relaxed, and you're gonna find a community that really loves what you're doing. One more point before I move on to talking about the name. This applies even for me. Like, I have so many things that I want to talk about, but I'm trying to think, like, for me, it's so much easier to like tell people, hey, you should focus on this, and you should try this in your next video. And like, I've been helping my husband with this for the last like 5 years. And so it comes naturally to me to be able to see areas where people can improve through like their online business or social media. And that's why I've been able to help my clients do the same thing, and my husband. But like for myself, it's always like that. It's easier to see like in other people what they should be doing, but then with yourself, it's kind of harder to like just let go of this idea of what you have to be, and kind of just like share what's on your heart. And so that's kind of what I'm working on, and why I have this challenge for like the next 30 days to create content, because I'm still finding my voice, and I have topics that interest me, like online business, social media, helping content creators monetize, because that's something that Felix and I struggled with for a couple of years when we were getting started. So these are all like general topics that I enjoy and I want to share about, but I'm still finding my unique voice, and the only way to do that is by sharing. And so that's what I'm doing. So you guys will see more of my videos coming out soon. If there's a topic that you want to hear from me, comment down below. Or you have like any specific questions, like I don't always answer them, because I typically do that for my students, but every once in a while I'll look at my DMs on Instagram. So if you're not following me, you can check out my Instagram here, and send me a DM if you have a specific question, and I might answer it in one of my videos if I think it will be helpful to our community. So let's get into talking about names, business handles, etc. Okay, so when Felix and I were thinking of his name, Color by Felix, we basically just sat down and wrote down a few things that were related to art and related to him specifically. And so like, it's funny to me because Jerome, when he wrote to me, he's like, I don't have like a specific brand name that's like catchy, like Color by Felix. Why I say it's funny to me is because sometimes Felix like will tell me like, man, why did we pick Color by Felix? Now like our products and stuff have Color by Felix, and like, why does it need to have like my name? Maybe it's not general enough, you know? So like, I think it just shows that like everyone's gonna have like little criticisms of their names that they pick and everything. But for us, we just picked Color by Felix, and we're like, okay, let's just go with it, you know? And I think that that's what it comes down to, like with both the niche and with picking your name. It's like, these things are not really the most important thing. They seem like the most important thing when you're getting started, but I say that like doing things is more important than like picking your name or your niche. I think actually creating the content, actually putting yourself out there every day, like, or as much as you can, that is way more valuable when it comes to social media and building a brand than it is to have the perfect name or the perfect niche. And these are things that you can always change with time. Do I suggest you change them? No, but if you need to, you definitely can. When it comes to a brand name, I think the only suggestion I would give that you definitely should consider is is it something that people can easily spell? I've had people that I have heard their business names and I'm like, okay, I would never remember that. Or like if it's in a different language that just is not easy to remember, it can be, I would say, to get away from that. So like the simpler you can make it, the better. Like for me, I didn't know what to name my pages at all. So I just said it's Drea K. That's pretty easy to remember, I think. It's like pretty simple in every language. It's not like anything in Spanish or Russian or like something that people wouldn't be able to pronounce. So I think like if your name is something that people can easily spell, and do that. If you can include something from your niche, then great. But if not, don't worry about it. Like if it's just your name, it's not a big deal. A lot of people just put their name, and with time, the more you create, the more you put things out, people are gonna remember your name and they're gonna be able to search your name. So I think that if it's just your name, don't worry about it. People will be able to find you, especially the more you create, the more people put it in their mind and their memory, your name, they're definitely gonna remember it. Those are my suggestions. Create something that's relatively easy to remember, not too complicated to pronounce. Second one is if you can think of something within your niche, whether that's art, for us it was color, then try to add a word that has some relation. If not, really don't worry about it. It's just extra. And finally, don't put too much pressure on yourself around finding the perfect name, because with time and with the amount of times you show up, people will remember you. So these are my suggestions when it comes to naming and finding a niche. I hope that this could help you guys and take some of the pressure off and really remind you what's important. I hope it also encourages you to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. The other day I was actually thinking about this, and I was thinking like, wow, like sometimes, you know, like you get into this mood. I don't know about you, but I've had this happen to me before, where like you get really sad about something for some reason, or like depressed, and you get into this moment where you're like, nobody cares about me, when like you kind of know that it's not really true, but you still kind of think that thought, nobody cares about me. I was thinking about that like the next day, and I'm like, actually, you know what? That could be the most freeing thing. Like if you think no one cares about you, then no one cares about you. And that's actually very freeing, that you can let go of what people think and don't allow what people might think or people's opinions to stop you from doing what you were put on this earth to do. And I hope that that would encourage you and inspire you that people's opinions shouldn't matter more than what you were put here to do. And if that is art, or if that's creating content that will inspire people, whatever it is, put yourself out there. The people that have negative opinions don't matter or don't care about you anyway. Don't let that stop you. Keep going, keep putting yourself out there. I hope that this could encourage you guys to get started today. If this was helpful, or again, if you have questions, comment below, and I hope to see you guys next week. Bye.